Wanted to thank everyone for coming to our panel today. It's on advertising workflows with Epic Tools. In a few seconds, I'm going to introduce you to the people you came here to hear from. But before that, I just want to touch briefly on a few things. Yeah, so first off, just to let you know how you were restructuring this panel. It's meant to be not pre-scripted and fairly spontaneous, but I am going to start with a little background on the why of this panel, followed by an introduction to each panelist. So that part is pre-planned, along with a few visuals of their work. I'll kick things off with a few questions, but the real value here is Q&A. So we will reserve about 10 minutes towards the end, I don't know if the timer's starting, just to make sure that we have time to answer your questions. So I'd like you all to, as you're hearing this panel talk, think about what questions you're going to ask. When I call for time, we'll just ask people to walk up to the mic and take turns asking these panelists questions.
Not too difficult.
Make sure to give him hard ones.
There's a reason he's sat me as far away from
Make sure they're very uncomfortable and it'll get him in trouble.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Thank you.
So before I get into this, I wanted to just provide a little bit of background for myself and why I called this panel. I've been a technical account manager for Epic Games for about 7 years now. And our technical account managers, I'm actually the lead technical account manager for Enterprise. And on the Enterprise side, our role is to help some of our really top key customers make sure they're successful. So our TAMs are both technically knowledgeable, but also able to have an understanding of the industries that they're actually supporting, so we can help guide customers through an effective solutions for what they want to try to do with Unreal Engine and other Epic tools. So one of the cool things about the gig is that in the course of doing that, we get to see some of the really cool things that are happening in multiple industries. But before Epic, I had spent most of my career in advertising. And so I'm really curious when I see all the work that's happening in the advertising space. And there's some really great work happening in the advertising space with Unreal Engine and other Epic tools. So I just kind of wanted to pick some panelists, and these are hand-picked panelists that I know for years have been in the trenches day-to-day doing real, not conceptual or proposed projects, but hardcore daily productions with Unreal Engine, and have that experience to bring to the table. So with 3 people from very diverse perspectives in terms of kind of where they represent in their businesses and what the businesses they do represent. So I'm going to go ahead and give an introduction to each panelist, but each panelist took time out of their weeks to come here and share their knowledge with us. So please, after I introduce them, give them a nice round of applause. So starting off with Mr. Nicholas Golden. He's the Innovation Director at Team One Advertising. And Nicholas is a multidisciplinary innovator with a background in car design and career spanning visual effects, gaming, advertising, and manufacturing. As Director of Innovation at Team One, he leads the team developing real-time Unreal Engine applications that streamline global CG asset production and elevate storytelling for brands like Lexus and Toyota. He has built scalable pipelines and creative tools for companies including Lucasfilm, Disney, Walmart, and Kellogg's. From the live VTuber broadcasts and AR/VR experiences to engineering solutions used by soldiers in the field, his work bridges design and technology to unlock new creative possibilities at scale. Nicholas Golden, everyone. So as I'm introducing the panelists, we have a little silent reel of their work, just so you can get a general sense of some of the work that they're doing. All right, so we have Jennifer McSpadden. Thank you for coming. Jennifer is the Virtual Production Supervisor for Nant Studios. So her background centers around a concentration in virtual production, in-camera VFX, and performance capture workflows. At Nant Studios, she has supervised over 60 projects, ranging from ranging from film and television, commercials, music videos, live broadcast events, and video game cinematics. While previously working at giant profile studios, she was the on-set real-time operator for titles such as Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. She was involved in all aspects of virtual production and performance capture. Much of her work experience has also revolved around training student and professional teams in virtual production and performance capture. Jennifer McSpadden. And then we have Scott. So a little background. I was trying to go through these. Profiles, and what did Scott say to me? It was like, right, Mike. I like my Australian accent. I think I nailed it. If this is getting kind of dry, you're welcome to sledge me. So he gave me, which is kind of like in American, that I can roast you, right?
Yeah, right.
But quite frankly, it's just not fun when I'm given permission.
Yeah.
So I think we're just going to have to find opportunities as we go through this to give you a good sledge, but maybe the audience can leave that for the Q&A.
Please don't do that.
Scott Bradley is a company co-owner with a background in live action direction and over 25 years in automotive marketing. As a managing partner at Rotor Studios, he has helped lead the company's evolution from traditional TV commercial production to a 100-person plus studio delivering photorealistic CG content, real-time experiences, and software solutions for brands like Toyota and Lexus. He played a key role in developing one of the first Unreal Engine vehicle configurators for Toyota Australia, which is still in use today. He continues to drive Rotor's use of emerging technology, including real-time workflows, AI, and AI-related processes that scale configurable content and push creative boundaries. Scott Bradley.
Thank you. And he's very sensitive, so don't take his permission to sled.
He is very sensitive. So anyway, wanted to make sure that we have a little bit of structure to what we're discussing today. So kind of giving the panel a little bit of rules for what we're going to be talking about, so we can be free in the way that we discuss them. First off, want to make sure that the company has a basic understanding of what you're doing at the company that you're currently at, and why we added you to the panel. But I think we were having a discussion amongst ourselves earlier, just doing a run through of this, and it became more fun once we got through the basics of introducing each other and kind of what we did, and we narrowed it down to a few interesting topics that we think would be good to discuss in front of you. One is that for each of these panelists, there was kind of a crisis or a moment of change, whether it be COVID or geopolitics, the writer's strike, that actually made it necessary for you to innovate, but that was also an opportunity to innovate. So that caused changes to your pipeline. In many cases, it caused greater adoption of Unreal Engine. So we definitely want to talk about that. And then, what's new? What are you seeing around the horizon, both in technology and in just market factors that are affecting the way that you work? So with that, we're just get right into it. So I want to start with Jennifer. So Jennifer, part of the reason why we brought you into this panel is, for me, and maybe I have cognitive bias because Nan's studio in LA, this amazing studio, is right next to our small virtual production stage. So we get to see what you're doing, and we occasionally will be invited into productions. And when I think of virtual production, I just think of Nant Studios as, word association is kind of a studio that I definitely first think of in terms of having the capability for LED walls and things like that. Right. But could you describe for the audience a little more fully what Nant Studios does and what you do there?
Sure. We kind of see ourselves as a one-stop shop for virtual production. So Nant Studios started with an initial sound stage. It was green screen, performance capture, kind of doing traditional workflows. And then around the time of the first season of Mandalorian, the movers and shakers at Nant Studios saw LED walls and understood that that was where things were headed. So they decided to invest and create those stages in El Segundo. So our first stage went online about end of 2021, early 2022. A lot of projects started to come through of different types. So when I first started in early 22, we did the series finale of Westworld. We were starting to do commercials, the announcement for Resorts World in Vegas, all those sorts of things came through. But over time, we kind of saw that there was a lot of need for commercial production in Los Angeles, and LED walls were perfect for that. And that's kind of what drove our initial business plan towards a lot of commercials and a lot of marketing, like focused industries.
So just in terms of proportion of productions or that, you could give us an idea of like how much of that is
Like commercials.
for commercials?
Yeah. I mean, since I've been there, I would say it's 85% commercials because we're in Los Angeles. You know, a lot of the tax havens are elsewhere. So you'll get the occasional long form project or a project that's doing pickups against the wall, but we're doing mostly commercials.
Okay, and what type of commercials are typical?
Lots of automotive commercials. Okay. Cars look gorgeous against LED walls because they're just big reflective surfaces. It's the easiest thing, right? So they look beautiful. Running footage, it's so much safer, so much faster in that world. But we do things for fashion, for different products. We do credit card commercials, and we did stuff for like dog food, cell phone companies. It doesn't matter. You can kind of just recreate reality on those walls, and it works.
Awesome, thank you. Scott, you know, part of the, you know, I think you bring in an interesting perspective as well, where, you know, Nicholas, for instance, is an innovation director. You are a partner. So, and I know that Rotor for years have been one of the early innovators in a lot of spaces, and including, I think you were probably the first, or if not one of the first, to do fleet-wide, full-spec Unreal Engine configurators for, and this was for Toyota back in, I think it was 2018, 2019.
A while ago now, yeah.
Yeah, and you've kept that up. But maybe you could describe in your own words what Rotor Studios is and what you do there.
It's interesting. I come at it from a slightly different perspective to Nicholas. He comes at it from, you know, a deep technical understanding of it. Yeah. I came from it from a live action production background. We used to, and still are, a production company, and we shot live action. We've been doing it for a while, and if we got one thing right in the business, always automotive focused. If we got one thing right in the business, we went, you know, CG's coming, but we always had our own post-production. And if we got one thing right early on was we thought CG is going to be important for the automotive space, and that's what it's turned out to be. So we're about 100 people. We're fortunate to work for both agencies and clients direct. We're a long way away from everywhere. We're in Sydney, you know, we're in Australia, we're a long way away, but you know, we work all over the place, and that I think gives me a little bit of a perspective of what's going on because I'm traveling a lot and talking to a lot of people. We do both interactive experiences and also content. And one of the things that we've really seen change over the last few years, which has made Unreal Engine so important, is that a lot more people, and I know Nicholas, we've chatted, and I know Nicholas thinks this as well, and Jennifer would have seen it, there is a massive requirement for configuration these days, personalisation. Customers demand it. Clients, there's efficiencies in it, clients want it. And so we have historically run, and I know you know this, Michael, we've run a dual pipeline. We had a traditional renderer for doing high quality content. We use Octane. And we always used Unreal Engine for our interactive experiences. Well, those days are changing. We have to make so much content now, and the beauty of Unreal Engine is it's such a great premium quality that we can use it for our high quality content. And we need to make so much of it that we're in the process of combining and well underway, combining our pipelines. And Unreal Engine, they've lifted their quality and their speed. You can just output so much stuff that it's a perfect, because timelines aren't getting any longer, and budgets aren't getting any bigger, but the requirements from them are so enormous. So we are now moving. Right at the moment, over the next few months, we are moving totally to an Unreal Engine pipeline, and it's been a lifesaver, really.
So as a partner, it's your money partially, right? What do you
Yes,
think?
thank you for reminding me of that.
So
It's good insight.
you're welcome. Glad I could help.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of interesting from your perspective, because in some cases, people in the audience might be a dev trying to convince their boss or the company owner, to go with this change. Like, what convinced you? What made you decide this was actually a good business decision, not just a really cool thing to do?
Yeah. So part of it is the cool bit, right? There is an interest in the technology, but to rip off but Steve Jobs, and I think he in turn took it from Faulkner, he had made the comment, you have to kill your darlings. And I always see that as, if you want to stay in business, and we're proud of the fact that we've been around for 25 years, very much a different business now than we were 25 years ago, but you have to look at what are we doing now that's making money that we're prepared to forego some of because we know there's new technologies coming. And then it's a hard decision to make, especially when it's your own money, but it's served us well up till this point to go, if you don't look at these new emerging technologies and use them, your competitors will. And so we don't always get it right. I wouldn't say we always choose the right, we've gone down blind alleys with stuff, but I think as a general philosophy, that has worked well for us thus far. You have to look at what you're doing and go, look, this stuff's coming, your competitors are going to be using it, so get in there. And we're fortunate in that there are four partners in our business. They all work in the business. I'm one of them, obviously. And so we can make decisions pretty quickly. So we'll jump on new tech and we'll look at it. And quite frankly, even if it is a bit of a dead end, there's always some learnings from it. So that's a good philosophy for us.
Okay. Well, let's go on to Nicholas. Now we're kind of getting into the topic of, crisis and innovation, where I think for you it's tightening budgets and pressure from competitors is part of it, right?
Yeah, and there's some other, but yeah.
Okay, so we can get into that next time we go around to you. But I think Nicholas, you had a story too. I think it had related to COVID, where you were able to kind of break through some boundaries within kind of the agency infrastructure and decision making to get something that made a lot of sense adopted. So talk about that.
Well, what's interesting about marketing is we're not just making static imagery, right? But sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's experiential, sometimes it's a commercial, sometimes it's a Super Bowl spot. And for an OEM that wants to deliver personalized content, if you're doing that just with traditional production workflows, all of that's really siloed one-off jobs, and gets really difficult when something like COVID hits and disrupts supply chains for automotive manufacturers. If you want a customer to buy a car, you can't really just go to a dealership and see the green one that you want to buy, or how do you even know that they have a green one? So not only is it just personalized content, but it's all of the content so that folks know what is the product, what's available to buy. And switching to Epic to be able to use stuff in real time is really what's allowed us to kind of break open those production streams, really unify them under a single umbrella where I could be doing a pod shot or I could be doing a sales event and I could use the car that we already made for another production. So each job is kind of inheriting the assets from the other jobs. And I think of it like, I think the presentation this morning was beautiful because you guys really outlined like what your vision is for the metaverse or Epic's universe and how that all coexists under the umbrella that you're creating. I really look at what we're doing for our clients as the same, creating a universe of content that can kind of all branch and fork off of itself and create really compelling stuff and solve needs of the business where supply chains are disrupted, there are no physical prototypes, and really actually be able to deliver millions and millions of CG assets at scale.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We saw a lot of industries suddenly emerge that weren't really engaging in Unreal Engine when it came to kind of COVID era.
Right.
And part of it was like the fashion and apparel, footwear is one example where, there were some very smart people working in those fields, but there were some aspects of those pipelines that were very traditional still.
Right.
And then once everyone's sitting in their basement, they needed to figure out a way, right? So it did create some really interesting opportunities that they've since built on, and they're not going back, right?
Right.
So it's cool that you had a chance to do something that makes a lot of sense in the agency context, I would think, because for those who aren't familiar with 3D content creation for products, and especially for automotive, there's so much time that is burnt trying to make things product correct and doing reviews, that having a source of truth that you can actually experience and interact with is really powerful.
Right. And, Lexus, they're making cars. They're trying to make the best product. So they trust us then to make good advertising for them. But those cars might be in development for 8 years. And when those models are going to launch, there's no renegotiating with all those suppliers to push back the launch date just because we're struggling to make the red match whatever the red needs to look like. So we have to be innovative, we have to be streamlined, and we got to be able to make changes at the speed of business and match those production timelines that are happening around us. We're part of a larger ecosystem.
Excellent. Thanks, Nicholas.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, just in our kind of casual discussion before this, you had mentioned the writer's strike and how that affected things. So maybe you could talk to a little bit about that, because I think that's an interesting story.
Yeah, I mean, in spite of it, we stayed pretty busy, which was kind of a big deal for us because we shoot a lot of car commercials in particular. A lot of commercials would come through that didn't have any human talent in the commercial. Like, the talent was the car. So we continued to shoot a lot throughout that writer's strike. And we found that we were almost like trying to catch all the different automotive manufacturers, like Pokemon, trying to catch them all. So we saw a lot of different brands come through. I mean, some of these vehicles showed up with more security than your average A-list actor. It was crazy. Like, there were cars that were tinted, our phones were being taped over because the car didn't come out yet.
Wow.
Or you'll have just the one vehicle that exists and it's painted 2 different colors with 6 different tints on it for all the samples. And we're shooting that one vehicle, and that's the hero vehicle for the car, for the commercial. So we found ourselves staying busy, and that pushed us to innovate as well. It pushed us to focus a lot more on automotive industries for our commercial development, to develop a vehicle motion platform, which we're still working on, to be able to kind of show those vehicles in motion, not just against the beautiful backgrounds. So that guided us towards focusing a lot more on automotive industries than I think we might have thought we were going to at first.
Yeah, and I think I'm curious what your experience was. I'm sure it's a learning curve for directors and creatives and actors. What input did you have after that? And after that initial kind of necessity push, was it sticky? Did people continue to do productions that way when they had the other options? Yeah,
I think people saw the cost effectiveness, even though it sounds like on paper that these LED stages are super expensive to shoot on. If you see a day rate, when you start to consider what it takes to move a company to different locations, to take an A-list actor to a bunch of different places, lots of different looks and whatnot, it becomes a lot more cost effective to shoot on the virtual production stages so they can focus on the product and focus on the creative. There are times where we would have a 2 or 3 day commercial and a fleet of 6 or 8 cars pulls in, and we're just swapping the cars back and forth, changing the backgrounds at the click of a button, and we're able to shoot a whole campaign in the course of a couple days. And that also now has agencies considering coming back more frequently. So there's some people that come back almost quarterly now in order to shoot for the next season. So we're staying ahead of that trend because they can get a lot done in such a short amount of time.
Well, talent is super expensive.
Yeah.
So I would imagine being able to bring the talent to a stage and do 20 different locations, or I'm probably making you nervous, say 3 different locations.
At a click of a button.
At a push of a button.
It's fast. We did a campaign a year or so ago with Nissan, and we were shooting Brie Larson out. She was the spokesperson for that campaign, and she was shooting, I guess, the Marvels. It's something else at the same time. So we were shooting on Saturdays with her. We had 1 day, and she would show up. We'd have all the backgrounds ready to go. And we were mostly waiting on wardrobe, and art department kind of changed the set out because the background was just ready to go, and she could just shoot all these different looks out. They could focus on her, making sure audio was good, that looks were good, and she didn't have to travel with all of the like Russian arms and stunt cars to get the footage, to get the backgrounds. We would often get backgrounds from CG developers as well, and we were able to kind of push ourselves through these CG environments that are performing beautifully in UE, and then we could trigger different things she could react to, which also made it super interactive and easy to shoot.
Well, and I remember being invited on stage once, and you were showing a virtual version of a set that I know probably cost around $1 million a year just simply to store and bring back out of mothballs.
Yeah.
And not to mention what you have to do with the film crew and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, the ability to both have like variety for your talent and to be able to just pull that up without that sunk cost, I would imagine is you're getting some traction there.
Oh yeah, for production design in particular, there's an easy way to maintain like the elements that your talent's going to interact with. Those become the things that production designers focus on. Things that are in the foreground of that world that you're shooting against, but you aren't having to either rent the space or rebuild the location over and over again across the course of your campaign. Like there's a cell phone company we shoot with. We've done maybe 18 commercials with them over the last 2 years, and they mentioned after the initial investment, they're saving upwards of $100,000 per shoot in production design costs alone because they're able to reuse that branded environment that we've kind of kept around and kept upgrading for them over the years as Unreal upgraded.
Well, I could imagine down the line, for instance, if agencies working with 3D Unreal assets and you're doing the same, there might be some synergies there in how you work as well.
Just having that same thought across production streams, how we're able to dynamically stream content in and out across projects. And if you think back to just a couple of years ago, the amount of content we deliver in a summer might be thousands of images, and now how that's exploded to hundreds of thousands, or millions of images of personalized content with the same budgets, the same timelines. The cars, they're not giving us more time to bring the cars in. In fact, it's even more chaotic with supply chain disruptions, last minute product changes, and really being able to just innovate and work on the fly. And being able to pivot.
And one thing to note on that, I mean, just anyone who's been involved in configuration productions, if you're doing the configurations in comp, it becomes a nightmare. If you're doing them with virtual objects, I think it becomes much more manageable because you're not managing comp on top of your 3D assets, right?
Well, then the changes actually live with the data and can move from project to project and aren't just lost in someone's
nuke.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so Scott, I cut you off last time, so we'll give you a 2 for question. But I think first off was, we didn't quite get into like what are some of the challenges or crises that actually pushed your company to shift the way that you're doing things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've noticed, and so at the moment, as I said, I do a lot of travel. I talk to a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of economic.
By the way, your coworker Colin wanted me to mention that that your team is very happy that you're traveling.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. No, it's one of the great motivators is when I go away. They're very excited about that. But one of the things I've seen is that there's a lot of talk now. Clients and agencies are looking for efficiencies because there's economic headwinds. You've got a massive new player in the automotive market. You've got the Chinese EVs coming. They're here. They're decent quality. There's a lot of them. They're exporting because their own domestic market is soft. So there's a massive new player, and there's a lot of I guess traditional automotive companies that have been around for a long time are looking for efficiencies. And the last time I saw that was back in the global financial crisis, so back a little while ago. But it drives change, and I think it's understandable, right? If you've got management teams and things are going well, you're selling cars, you're making profits, it's all going great, you are a little bit reticent to make a big change.
Oh yeah, the worst thing you could do is make a mistake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it could be good, these new technologies could be good, but we're doing fine. And I don't want to be the person who's made the decision that suddenly upset the apple cart. When you get into these financial pressure on, it makes those decisions so much easier because you are looking for efficiencies. You do need to provide answers.
Right.
We saw a lot of change in our space back during the global financial crisis, and it seems to me that we're back into that, and we're back into that now, but the tools are there to allow for those changes to happen. On top of this whole personalisation and the topic that Nicholas has touched on as well.
Right, yeah. So I mean, with personalization, media has changed so much that, it's created an opportunity for that, and people are in the physical space is less. So there's a real need there. So there's a social construct to it, but there's also just an economic reality that you're really touching on, right?
Yeah, and customers are expecting it. They've gone through, they've gone through COVID, and they were suddenly given a lot of configurable experiences, and they were, sitting in their basement looking at these personalised experiences. They know they work, they know they're great. Now there is a desire for it, and as we've touched on a couple of times, the timelines aren't changing, the budgets aren't changing, but you need to deliver it. So that not only, UE have provided an ability to do that, and you've now got clients that are incredibly motivated to have it used. So it is an innovation driver, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You always rue the times when things get tight, but if you're really trying to change things, sometimes that's the best time.
Yeah. 100%.
So maybe we could kind of get into a shameless plug for your talk.
I'm all about shameless plug.
Yeah, but you're talking about AI or some AI adjacent stuff that you're integrating into your pipeline. Is that kind of what you see as the next innovations that are going to be necessary, or kind of how do you see things going from a kind of workflow and technology perspective?
So first thing is it's not AI by itself. It will absolutely, I believe, be a hybrid workflow where CG is as important as ever, and real time and CG like Unreal Engine is more important than ever. But that with certain AI, and we call things like Gaussian splats, which is an interesting name. A lot of you will probably be aware of it. We call it AI adjacent, so we're sort of lumping it in with AI.
It's good for the marketing plug.
Yeah, get it all in, get it all under the AI banner. But we see tools like that combining with this CG pipeline that we've all been talking about is the way forward, and because it'll unlock this production value that we've been talking about, and it's also fast. So anyway, there's a tomorrow 2:00, room 2. I'm chatting about it a little bit in a little bit more detail. So
yeah. So Jennifer, I'm kind of curious what you're seeing and what you anticipate in terms of like new changes in workflow and kind of what's next.
Yeah, I think the big thing with virtual production is it kind of changed the production pipeline to get people in the room faster. And that also required getting visuals created a lot faster. So we're seeing a lot of like AI-driven storyboards and previs and concept art kind of being passed around really early on to set a look and a style and a feel for a campaign. Sometimes those make it all the way to the floor on the shoot day, which I kind of have mixed feelings about, because sometimes that's the look that was sold. And there are times where we're sitting there trying to match an AI-generated image with the lighting quality of the Unreal scene that was delivered to us for a commercial. So that kind of gets challenging. But I think what I'm also seeing is the need for people to be able to collaborate and iterate really fast on an idea to kind of land at a final look, and then have a bunch of different options available. So sometimes we'll be shooting campaigns for different markets. So we need to have versions with different demographics of talent represented, and all the different versions for that. The different colorways, which will also drive the look and feel of an entire commercial. To kind of shoot the same thing again, but now we're doing like the night look, or the look like in a different part of the country, or in a different country. So I've found that a lot of the need is arising in the ability to kind of show a bunch of people that have very different technical skill levels an image, and understand that it's achievable, and understand that it's not going to break the budget to have those options.
Okay. Yeah. And is there a particular recommendation you'd have for directors or creatives that you're working with on how to think about things when they're,
Yeah, so I noticed especially especially in Los Angeles, in the commercial world, you're getting a lot of repeat creatives showing up. So we start to kind of make friends amongst directors and cinematographers, gaffers, grips, everybody. And the ones that I notice that are working, that are staying busy, are the ones that are using Unreal for pre-visualization, and like production designers that are using it to understand spatially, like what's real and then what's digital, and what does that handoff look like, and how is that going to be achieved on the day to make it super efficient and not like super wasteful on our shoot days. So the people that are leaning into understanding those like the cinematography tools that are in Unreal are the ones that are staying busy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Future-proofing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we're teaching some of those things too. And people will often have people back at Brain Bar on shoot days just wanting to see what we do.
Okay.
So they understand how to use those tools. Like people will come by and say, "Hey, how do I get my hands on that?" I'm like, "It's so easy. You don't understand." But that's often what we're doing as well, is we're doing lots of tours and education to get people into our workflow so they can pass data to us really efficiently.
Okay, well, we got a few minutes left. We have time for Nicholas to jump in. I think the first question was really around what you see as coming up in innovations and where you like to take, where you see things going, or where you'd like to take things.
I think the last point was really interesting, which is about it's easy and it's fun, and democratizing the tool set, and really changing hearts and minds of people who maybe were in a hands-off position before. That could be really at any stage of the production, but turning as much of it into a game, and like why we all kind of got into this world in the first place was this was more fun than the other way of doing it. And showing that to everybody else, right?
Yeah, that's secret.
Bringing them along for the ride. And
well, yeah, as you know, I mean, many of us have been in 3D production for ages, and creatives really did not like the whole process for like the old school DCC pipeline process. You know, where it's very comp-intensive, and it was you know like an excuse that would be told and time again why they can't do things that way is there's no happy accidents.
Well, if you haven't made the switch and you're still using traditional foursome things, you have that Pepsi challenge of is the quality there, and then from there, do I still have the flexibility to make it do what I want?
But I think in some ways people have resisted all that time. They're in a good spot now because now they have a real-time workflow that feels more natural to them.
Exactly. And to that, it's cool. Let's hop on a call, let's screen share, and let's build the thing together. And that collaborative experience ends up being much more compelling.
Does that break down? Have you found that breaks down resistance? Are you getting? Yeah.
I think that is really the key to socializing it, and then getting more people on board and getting more projects and productions then into that same data stream. Yeah. Then you have that compounding efficiency across the entire enterprise, where then suddenly this job is making content for me that I can leverage on another production. Yeah. And clients that might have been doing work for one data stream or another production are all now benefiting from this ecosystem.
Well, yeah, I mean, bringing talent along is so important.
Right.
Because if they don't want to work that way, then it's going to be a struggle.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you could be more, you know, I mean, AI, I think is a fun buzzword right now, but we have to protect the car, we have to pass legal. Yeah. There's a lot of those constraints, and those end up being easier conversations to have with people when you have a rapport and you've made compelling content together, and you can kind of set those boundaries in a way that's solutions oriented.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are right at time. So again, thank you so much to the panel for coming and talking to everyone, and thank you to the audience for coming to listen to us.
Thank you.